Welcome back, friends, to the homestead. So today I thought we would do an EDC update video. It's been some time and several of you have noticed that I have had a change in my personal EDC. So it comes at a good time. Actually, this video was requested by Curse of the Blade. Sorry, I didn't want to forget that. I had to write that down. He asked me, hey, what's that new, he knew what the new knife is that I've been carrying around. Could you talk a little bit about it? And I will today. So I got, yesterday I had a bad accident, motorcycle accident. Hit my head and banged at my knees and sprained my wrist and forgot who I was for a little while, but I'm feeling better now. But I'm on a little bit light duty, so you might hear the tractor running in the background. We were actually going to be doing a forestry video today. I got Jack working down there. He's digging out stumps, so we'll go down there after we're done with this and we'll bring you along. So he's picking up the slack for me until while I'm convalescing here. So let's jump into it and take a look at this new knife. Before we get into the new knife, we'll talk about what I carry in my EDC here. Let me tell you how it works here. So when you get a big YouTube channel, you're going to have manufacturers that come out of the woodwork contacting you. Hey, would you do a review of this? Can we send you this? Can we send you that? And here's my response every time. If you want to send it, go ahead and send it. However, I guarantee no video. I can tell you, if I do like it, there's a good chance that maybe I will do a video on it. And 9 times out of 10, or 99 times out of 100, they'll send the stuff. And you know, typically I'll say, like, oh yeah, it's fine, but you know, it's not something that would ever tempt me to betray my beloved here, right? So what I end up doing with these knives typically is I end up giving them away. I'll carry it around my pocket for a while and, you know, run into someone, or I run into subscribers at Home Depot all the time. I'll give, you know, I'm not a collector. It doesn't mean that much to me. So when I got this one here, and this one showed up probably about a month or so, I started carrying it. This is really an excellent knife for a lot of different reasons. So we'll talk about that here in a minute. Okay, so of course the 940 Osborne flashlight. Some guys ask, the flashlight that I've been carrying, and not necessarily because this is the best one, it's just I like the single AA. This is the, what is this? This is the Olight Baton S1A. The thing that I'm really interested in is the interface and of course the size. This is a AA flashlight. What makes this one so awesome, and why I carry it everywhere all the time, is it's got a really powerful magnet on it. And that helps if you're a working guy, if you work on your car and stuff. I mean, I don't even use a trouble light anymore or a corded light or anything like that. I just simply use this because that magnet is so handy and it's so strong. I mean, it'll hold vertically under some abuse like that. So when I'm up underneath, I'm changing drive shaft or working on my car, to be able to stick that with a magnet is very nice. Mrs. W's sink was leaking the plumbing the other day, and I stuck that up there on the P-trap and gave myself some light, and I really like that. So it's got a lot going for it. I just use the AA, or excuse me, the AA rechargeables, which I have around all the time because I use them for my microphones and different things. And I just, about once a week or so, about every Sabbath, I'll just swap it out, put a new one in. I never run out, so I don't have to buy batteries. And I really like the little switch right here. Of course, it's got the hateful multi-function SOS nonsense that they keep putting on flashlights that I wish they wouldn't, but it doesn't seem to interfere. I typically, when I push the button, it turns on and it's bright, and it turns off. That's basically what I want. Sometimes it's kind of nice, you know, if you don't want to wake the bone of your bone and love of your love, to have the moonlight mode, which is pretty good. So, you know, that's nice if you wanted to look at something and not wake up the whole house. It's pretty good interface. I think you just press on, hold it. Yeah, it's a good light. I recommend. These are about 40 bucks or so, and I've carried this for, I don't know, I guess I've probably had this for a couple years now, and I carry it every day. You can see from all of the wear and tear there. It's been a really good light. Very bright. Highly recommended. 40 bucks or so. So I have no complaints on that. I really like it. So let's get to the new knife. Is it going to replace? Well, we'll save that for the end here. So this knife, what do they call this thing? This is the Gerber fastball. Now Gerber sent this to me unsolicited. It just showed up. Hey, we're going to send you this. Okay, whatever. I didn't think too much of it, but this is, you know what, guys? This is really a great little knife. Let me go back a little bit. So I have a long history with Gerber. I want to share with you. My granddad's hunting knife and my hunting knife. So Gerber, back in the day, if you don't know, man, that was the gold standard of knives. Of course, you know, a great Portland, Oregon company. How long have they been making knives? Probably back to the 40s or so. But back in the day, if you wanted a good hunting knife, you bought a Gerber, and they were expensive. I remember when I was in high school, I coveted that, what was it, the Gerber Mark something. There was it was a boot knife. Like, oh man, that was that was the coolest thing, but they were expensive. I think they were probably close to $100, and they had that awesome sheath that you could tie to a boot, and man, I wanted one of those so bad. But so growing up, so Granddad, as long as I remember, he bought this Gerber. This was his hunting knife that he carried probably, I'm guessing, probably purchased this in the 50s sometimes. And Gerber back in the day, they made beautiful sheaths. I mean, is it not a testimony here to still have it today in this amazing condition that he carried around? He butchered so many deer and elk and bear with this. I remember him pulling this knife out and doing all of that work, and there he's got his name scratched in the side. But this was the Gerber Shorty. They made one that was a little bit longer than this, and this was his knife. This was his hunting knife, and I just a lot of fond memories of that. So fast forward, when I started hunting, of course, I admired my grandfather to no end. I wanted to be just like him, and of course, I saved up and bought myself a Gerber knife, and this was the Gerber A400. This was the closest one that I could find to my granddad's. Right here, a little bit different, but very similar. This knife actually is really interesting. This was designed by Al Marr. When he was, I think he used to work with Gerber. And then there was some complaints with the earlier knives that these were too slippery, this aluminum casting on there. And so they put this, it was called armor hide or something like this. But ergonomically, this is a beautiful knife, and this was the knife that I hunted with, and I butchered a lot of animals myself with this knife right here. We would hunt with we had a hatchet and a knife. One thing I'm really sad about is that when I bought this knife, there was a pair of them. It was a 2-knife combination, and I have the sheath. I didn't grab it because it's packed away in my hunting stuff, but the sheath is very similar to this one in that brown leather, but it had a little tiny sheath on the outside that was stitched to it that received the second knife, and the little knife was called a pixie. And I had both of those, and it was really cool because if you were, after you got done butchering and you were kind of cutting around the joints, if you're boning stuff out, you could go to the little pixie knife and have a knife that was sharp in the field, and you didn't have to take the time to try to sharpen your knife. Unfortunately, I lost that little knife hunting years ago, and I have never been able to find another one. I still have the sheath that fits both pieces, so I'm always on the lookout for one of those, a match to this one, that little pixie knife. So that's just kind of a brief history. So the Gerber knives, of course, we have a long history with those, especially being a Pacific Northwest company. Now, unfortunately, Gerber, well, maybe fortunately for them, Gerber kind of made the choice to go maybe high volume, lower quality, cheaper knives. They kind of went a different direction than maybe your Benchmades or your Spydercos. And I think that the company's obviously done very well, and I know they have a lot of military contracts, but it really kind of cheapened their name. And when I think of Gerber nowadays, I no longer think of quality. I kind of think of Walmart knives. Unfortunately, they did the association with Bear Grylls, and they did that whole line of knives that I think was, maybe there's that knife appealed to some folks, but it was gimmicky, it was totally cheesy, and it was jumping on a trend that they should have known wasn't going to last. I think there was a lot of regret from Gerber in doing that. I don't know if Bear Grylls is a good guy or not, it doesn't matter. But I think that was a little bit, to take a knife company that had such a heritage, right, and the Al Marr and all that stuff, and these wonderful knives that they used to make, and then to do Walmart Bear Grylls fake pseudo survival knives was maybe a step in the wrong direction. But I don't know. What do I know? I'm not a marketing genius. Speaking of marketing genius, this knife is called the Gerber Fastball. Could you have come up with a worse name than that? I mean, it's cringy. It's really an awful name. A fastball? Maybe you should set, next time you want to name a knife, run it by me first. I could save you some aggravation, because that is really a terrible knife, but it is a excellent knife, I'll tell you. I think what I like about this knife is the fact that it shares so much, or so many different things with the 940, in that it has that solid aluminum handle. I like the aluminum handle. They're very similar in that. And I like that it's thin. It's very thin. It fits in the pocket nice. But I think the thing that really sells this knife for me is the way that it opens, that I really enjoy. What I have found with this, so here's what happens, is that I carried it around for a while, and I'm like, boy, this is really a great, this is a fun knife to open. It opens faster than any unassisted knife I have ever used. And I think primarily because it's got the ball bearings in there, where most of our knives are going to have those bronze bushings, which are just fine. Those work great. But man, when you get a knife like this, it's got those ball bearings in there on both sides, it is fast, and it's very fun to flip. The other thing is having this blade shape. I thought that this would be something that I wouldn't be interested in. This is it. What they call it, a Warcliffe or something cliff like that, because it's so pointed and so delicate. But what I find is that this is the meanest letter opener and cardboard cutter that you're ever going to find. It isn't that primarily what we do mostly with our knives, is opening and different things like that. The other thing that I kept digging this out of the drawer before was I get slivers in my hands all the time. Metal slivers and wood slivers from working in the shop. This blade shape, although it's very tough from the old 940, is not, you can never really get a point on it, and it's not good for digging slivers out, and that is an important thing to have in an EDC knife. And so what I was doing is I was going and putting this back in the drawer, and I was getting the, I don't even like to say it, the fastball. Could we rename this? I don't know. Fastball. But it has that point on it that's good for that detailed work. Yeah, of course, everything comes at there's always a compromise, and it's going to be a little bit more delicate. But man, is it sharp, and it came sharp. And this is really a great knife. This is an American-made knife. So the thing that's so appealing about this, another thing, there's a lot going for it, is that both of these knives, of course, are USA made. Benchmade, of course, made in Oregon City, all 100% American made. And then, of course, the Gerber made out there in, was it Tigard? Portland, suburb of Portland, of also USA made 100%. And the same blade steel, so we've got S30V. And I'm not a metallurgist or whatever, but you know, what everyone tells us is that's a good steel. I don't know. I mean, I've never had a knife. I can't really tell the difference, to be honest with you. I mean, of course, some are easier to sharpen than others, but they're all eventually going to go flat. So I don't know how much that means, but it seems to be tough. And I have more than abused this one, prying paint can lids, tightening screws, loosening screws. Never had a problem with it, so I'm a fan of it. It's never rusted or never corroded, so it seems to be pretty good. So what you have here is you have two American-made knives. 100% S30V, but the big difference is price. This one's almost half the price. So this is, you can buy these for about $99. Did I say Gerber sent this to me? I want you to know that. They sent this to me. This is not a paid promotion. If I didn't like it, you wouldn't be seeing it. But I do like it because it's a good knife. But what you're getting here is you're getting a very similar knife for half the price. Yeah, the Benchmade, I mean, they're going to run you close to 180, 185, right? I think they list for more than that. So I'm going to go out on a limb and say, you know, basically you're getting it for half price, and you're getting a blade, a very nice USA-made blade. The thing that really sells me on this, I'll tell you though, is that flipper, the way it opens. I thought that I do love the axis lock. And how I typically open the axis lock is I'll pull it out of my pocket and I'll pull that down and I just flip it open like that. And it's very handy, same way. So I'll open, close, open, close. That's how I typically do it. I don't even use the thumbstead because this is just faster, right? Once you get used to it. What I'm finding is when I put this back, go back to my 940, I'm looking for that flipper. It's automatically, I think that it seems a very natural way to open a knife, to be able to grab, you pull it out of your pocket, you're always kind of oriented this way, and man, oh man, does that come out fast. It is a fun knife to own, it's a fun knife to flip, and it is so well balanced, and it just flies out of there, and it has that authoritative click, and a great detent, by the way, really good detent in here. Man, it's a fun knife to flip. It has a heft, a sturdiness, unlike what we saw with that Benchmade, that bug out that was all, you know, with the crummy plastic handles that felt kind of chintzy. This feels good and solid in your hand. It feels strong, and like a 940 feels, but different. Liner lock, of course, just get the liner there on one side, which I don't mind. I have found that to be was a little clunky at first, years ago, but I've since gotten used to it. I think it seems to be a good knife. Solid lockup. It's a very well built, very well designed knife. Now, does it give me the fizz? I guess that's important too, because 50% of our EDC knife, you want to have something, you know, that when you take it out of your pocket that gives you a little bit of joy, you know, whether that be your watches or your knives or your flashlights, you know, that's an important part of it as well, because the 940 definitely does that. Even after all these years of having it, every time I take it out, I admire it. It's a beautiful knife. I love it. I really like it. Does it give me the fizz? It does not give me the fizz. It's not a pretty knife. It is got some things that bother me, like this backspacer deal right there. That just doesn't look very nice to me. And I don't know what it's made of. Is it plastic or is it metal? I think it's not scratching there. Maybe it's plastic. I can't tell. I don't know. Well, here. No, it's just picking up the liners. But it doesn't look very good. And what would have been cool is to put those little pillars in there. And we got the same problem with the old Osbornes. You know, they got that purple titanium backspacer in there. But what happens is it fills up with lint and gets, like, if you're cutting cheese or sausages or different things we use our knives for, you know, it kind of gets in there and hard to clean out. I like that pillar design better. That would have been cool to have a couple pillars in there and get rid of this. That looks kind of hokey. Doesn't really go with a knife very well. We've got a lanyard hole for what that's worth. Some guys like to put lanyards on. I don't. I've never found that to be interesting. But you know, I mean, it's just not a super sexy knife, but it is a good knife. And it feels great in the hand, and it is really, really great to use. It is a cardboard cutter and a good sliver digger. So it's interesting. The aesthetics of the knife are usually really important to me, but I guess the function of the thing and the usability of it and the way that it carries, because it's so thin, it's so light. It's actually 2 ounces lighter than this, and this is a famously light knife right here. So even lighter than that, but also a little bit smaller. Not so much in the handle, but in the blade a little bit. But it is really a good knife. I've really enjoyed it. I'm actually finding, and you know, I'm beyond the honeymoon phase with this. You know, I said, what have I had this? So a month or so. I'm actually finding that I'm starting to carry this more than 50% of the time, because I like that pointy blade. And I don't know. I really struggle with it. Actually, if I was completely honest with you, I've been packing both of them around because I feel obligated to this. I feel like I'm cheating on my girl here by not carrying it, because I have such a history with this and I adore this knife so much. Would I ever get rid? No, never. Of course not. You know, it's fun when I meet subscribers from time to time, and it's always pleasantly surprised to see how many guys have bought this, and I ask them, because you can tell right away. I can see the pocket clip that they've got a 940. I've never met anyone yet that regretted purchasing it, and they love it very much. Speaking of pocket clip, as you know, I don't do pocket clips anymore, because pocket clips, in my opinion, were designed by knife manufacturers, so you lose your knives. What happens to me is when we're working in the forest, it'll catch on stuff and lift out of my pocket. I actually found not this one, but my previous one, hanging from a tree branch. So I take the pocket clip off. So if you like that, you have that option. Of course, it comes with a pocket clip, which seems to be fine. I don't do pocket clips anymore. I just carry them like Granddad used to do, in my pocket. Because they're so thin and they're so small, that's the most important thing for me. I don't like those gigantic knives, those big, thick knives. I'm completely over the Kydex, or whatever, not the Kydex, but that whatever that textured plastic stuff like Spyderco did on every knife forever. It's all black and they all look the same. I like this aluminum. I like the anodizing on there. It gives it just a little bit of grip, so it doesn't feel slippery. Even when it's wet, it just lends a little bit of traction. But I guess I'm not surprised I like this, because there are so many similarities here between these two. But it is an excellent knife, especially, you know, at $100, $99 or so, you can get these. I think it's a home run. I'm happy to see it. I like to see Gerber to get back to its former glory, and shake off some of maybe the bad reputation that they have. And it was a choice that they made. I mean, they decided to go low price, mass market knives, and it might take a long time to separate that. I mean, a lot of companies have went down that road before, and they've ended up having to like rebrand themselves with a different name. I think, isn't that what ZT does? Isn't that a Kershaw? You know, Kershaw is kind of synonymous with I think Kershaw even has a better name than Gerber, because they've always provided good knives at a good price that were good quality. Another great Oregon company, without kind of selling out with that Bear Grylls nonsense type of thing that Gerber is suffering from now. But good job on this. I really like it. It's not one I'm going to give away. I'm going to keep it, and I like it way better than that Benchmade bug out that they sent. Way better. I don't even know where those knives went. I haven't carried those. I think I tucked them away in an emergency kit somewhere. But this is a great knife. So I'll put a link to this. They come in 3 different colors, and yeah, it is an awesome knife. Jeff Cutlery Lover did a review on this, and he really liked it as well. His review is pretty good if you want to get some more information or just a second opinion on it. It is a great knife. All right, well, thanks for watching. I'm gonna we'll go down, we'll check on Jack. He's been down there digging for a couple hours. It's a huge Douglas fir stump, so he'll be down there for some time. He might be down there a couple days getting that out, but I thought it would be a good project for him, because it'll teach him. He'll be a good operator by the time he gets that thing out of the ground, and teach him a thing or two. So thanks for watching. Don't forget to click the thumbs up if you enjoy these videos. We always appreciate the support. Don't forget to comment, and always keep us in your prayers, and we'll see you guys in the next video.